Can't win them all, but certainly can't try.
Okay, I've been working like 3 jobs. Probably why I never see ya. Probably why I never have time for the fake friends that won't be ya. Been bottom, but it's looking like they took a time out. Okay, I'm working on a Wednesday, then up again the next day. So-and-so is popping, man. I skip him like he leg day.
So we've got some things that we can show you guys when we get there. As far as there was a couple years ago, there was one particular campaign that we managed for, and we can kind of show you the way it's changed slightly on the web, as far as the web page that they have now versus what it was. But we can show you kind of the way that we walk through, starting with website, landing page, then shooting the video, and then we push that out on social, and it doesn't take as long to heat up. There's no reason why you wouldn't want to use it at home. Standpoint, you guys going after what, like Michigan and stuff like that, because it's local, possibly doing something with their colors or trying to get into the tailgating aspect in that environment, and then running some simple social ads. And I learned very quickly how obsessed Texas is with football.
Oh yeah.
Especially UT. So that's where, possibly doing something where you can not just do like a photo shoot, but try and get video content, getting people that can do like an Instagram Live, Facebook Live, or things like that while they're tailgating and having it. That's where people tend to follow trends really quickly. And down here, if people see it, they just jump all over it. I mean, it's insane. If you can somewhat control how they know about it, then you can control the path that they go down, and try and direct, if you're directing them to either your site, or let's say you did something for direct to an Amazon purchase, and drive people there, there's really no reason why they should go and purchase it at retail unless they decided not to buy it and then saw it later. If they Google search it to do research, which is something that every consumer is going to do, trying to then control what shows up. And it's all, you've got that first page, you've got all your Amazon stuff there too. There's no reason for them to purchase online at Depot, because they wouldn't, in theory, they wouldn't know, unless they were served an ad by Depot because they were looking for something else to then drive them there. That's where if you go really hard, and we've done this before, because most of the companies that we've dealt with these types of consumer brands, either a lot of times they won't sell on their site, they just push people to purchase through Amazon, right? Just because they didn't want the complexity of setting up shopping carts and stores on their site when they can just say Amazon's already got it. It's essentially the same thing to us, whether they're purchasing direct to consumer because it's through Amazon, so driving the traffic to Amazon to purchase, they were okay with. But on the flip side of it, dealing with the retailers, we've ran into issues with that where they're going below price, or when they get into selling older stock, a lot of times retailers are still at the higher price, whereas they're running stuff on Amazon at 20% cheaper just to move it, and that's somewhat controlling that inventory, because then they are the cheapest, right? People aren't paying the MSRP. So it's a tough balance, but if you can control the outbound and somewhat of the inbound and push really hard on digital and be consistent and be very optimized, you should be able to drive way more traffic through the channels that you want versus letting them go through retail. Because at the end of the day, retail is going to take whatever percentage you guys agreed on. While the demographic has pro accounts and Home Depot cards and Lowe's cards and things like that, if they maybe don't do it as much as their spouses do, but they all have Amazon, Amazon accounts, Amazon Prime is just as convenient. We just have to get them to go there instead of seeing something ahead of time. So that's really where, if you can somewhat control how they know about you, and then when they do the research, what they actually see, that's worth it from my standpoint, because even the $30 is worth that. You know what I mean? Even if you have a higher cost per acquisition because of that, but you're then doing it direct to consumer, and I mean, that's just, it's it's really just a control thing, kind of like with your website, controlling what they do and don't see, what they can and can't go into, what can they click, controlling that UX optimization to where you want to walk them down this path to get them to where they want to go, but you don't want them to have free range to just click anywhere. And while I'm sure you guys do get their Amazon contact information, stuff like that, and you can do some marketing to them, it is a lot different when they purchase directly, through you guys. Talking about the website, I know you guys don't want to do a complete redo because you have recently. Well, not right now.
Yeah.
There's
All good time.
yeah, there's things that we feel have to be done because dollars are just wasted, just minor things, to somewhat control the path people go down, the experience they have, getting signups, and things like things as simple as like the homepage video is your most popular video that you guys have. At least when I clicked on it and looked at the YouTube traffic and the views, it was the most popular one. But then near the end of that, it then goes into the Kickstarter pitch. So little things like that if somebody is going to watch it, they would then be confused. So changing out newsletter, subscriptions and where those call to actions are. How easy is it really to purchase? Looking at the e-commerce side of when you click add to cart, what is that process like? Is it the most efficient? Are people going to get frustrated? But then looking honestly at the end of the day data, what is your number one page? What is your number 1 through 5 pages of where people land? Where do they go from there? So looking at the behavior in Google Analytics, and then where do they exit? Because if you get a lot of people that go to a certain choking point and then exit, then that's telling you something about something essentially wrong. And when we talked last time when Connie was on the phone, you guys implemented that tracking, right? What was the name of that company? Hotjar, yeah. And we're used to doing the full story, but essentially it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Where you're able to see that behavior and look at it. But that's where we want to make those changes ASAP, because it could affect tremendously just from the get-go. But the way that we're broken down is she's out of the New York office. She handles the web dev side. When we get a new client, we deal with the strategy together, but she runs with the e-com. That's her heavy background for almost a decade. And web development, she handles that, building out the landing pages, making sure that everything is optimized. While on my side, we handle the monthly marketing aspect. So she can push at the same time that we're doing things, so that way it's not, from a time standpoint, it's not 6, 8, 9 weeks before you can do something. It's she's doing her thing, we're setting up on our side, we're coming together to make sure that everything's in sync, but it's a way just to get things faster. And then making sure that all of the creative is in the pipeline to be created, strategic to whatever the platform is, right? So if it's Instagram, we're going vertical with any sort of graphics, not just from a size standpoint, but just also how it's positioned. Email marketing, doing a combination of, what we've seen that works is doing a combination of not just like what I call a Home Depot ad, that's high graphics and it's full banner width and it's got all these images and things like that. Sometimes, depending on what size of list you guys have, making them more basic and fundamental to make it appear as if you guys are sending a personalized message and not like an ad flyer to them. From an email standpoint, typically can produce some pretty good results, because they're not, when people pull up an email that looks like an ad, sometimes they're very quick to jump off of it. So we build out that strategy with the email, and same with the PPC, because they're all going to be going to someplace, right? So we want to make sure that landing page is going to be most optimized with content, with squeezing them into call to action and getting them to do whatever it is. But that's kind of the foundation, and then we just work backwards into how exactly are we going to execute, what type of budget is there, how much do we want to allocate to which PPC, what is the strategy, how does it make sense for, are we going to run Google Ads, are we going to do social, who are we going after? So that's kind of the way that we work into it when you look at like just a media campaign. And we want to make sure that we just say, all right, this is how we would like to do it, but that doesn't matter, because if you guys have resources or don't, that's going to change. Because of the amount of dollars that you're spending in media spend, they have to look at it daily. They would be looking at it daily. We would be responsible for that aspect. We would be looking at it weekly just to look at trends, week over week, look at it monthly for trends, communicating to you guys what's going on, so that way you're more overall management level. And sometimes, having other people involved, you may see something like, oh, 2 years ago we did this for this thing and this is what happened, or you start to see something that we don't know because of your brand. But for the most part, we're always the ones that are managing budgets and how much you're willing to spend on certain bid placements, managing the creative with you guys, getting input and approving it, but then having you guys be there for their high level conversations. That's traditionally how it is. But like I said, we have some clients that say they just want more involvement in the creative.
Yeah.
None of our clients want to touch Facebook ads or look at reports and graphs and stuff like that. And so the way that we work, like I'm sure a lot of agencies that you guys talk to, is we use teamwork projects. We bring you into our system. If you had a system that you wanted us to go through, we're open to it, but typically we force our clients into our system. You guys have a login to a URL, it's all cloud-based. We post everything through there. We typically do not email if we can at all avoid it, because we want everything to be captured in one central location. And then we just set up different categories for things. So creative would be under a certain category, images, graphics, copy, those are all different documents in that. You guys literally jump in and you can look at it and then just type approved. Everybody gets notified instantly when that happens. So for our clients, every week we're pushing out a new, we just call them branded graphic, which you guys have on your Facebook and Instagram. We're pushing out new pieces of content every single week for them, along with doing written content for some of our clients, highly technical white papers and case studies and things like that. But it's got to get pushed out weekly, because then it's all about timing, and people want to see that you're going down, you've got a lot of movement in that space and you're a subject matter expert, like your product is very good, things like that. But from a Google standpoint, that's what they care about. They need to see new everything. And videos, they will put above written word almost every time now. Having specific content pages, even if you have a page on your site that goes after a specific theme or keyword, but not having that page be accessible through a menu and having it hidden in a link on one of your pages where somebody can get to it, but it's not directly to it, you can create tons of content like that strictly for SEO reasons to boost you up on certain positions. The bounce rate is so ridiculously high that that either the ad isn't optimized for the people or the traffic that you're getting is wrong, because the intent of what they're trying to do is wrong.
Yeah.
So I would audit that first and see. I mean, if it's traffic that is 30% bounce rate and you're getting high conversions, I would keep it going.
Okay.
But then also focus on the non-branded. But if your bounce rate's high, your conversions are low, page engagement isn't there, I would have to audit do they tell you what they're doing from a digital standpoint? Their type, like keywords they're going after, do they share any of that?
No.
Okay. So we would basically need to reverse engineer that. We would try terminology to see if they're coming up. If they're not, then either they're not thinking about it or not yet. We would not want to disclose that to them, obviously.
Yeah.
But there's ways that we could reverse engineer where they're at and try and go after more industry type keywords and get positions there. When I was in working for people, I had agencies that would do that all the time. Since I don't come from the agency world, it's not in my blood to do it, and I hated it. I hated getting little invoices, and I hated getting invoiced at the end of the month for all these extras. To me, if it's a partnership, stuff's gonna come up. Maybe we're heavy with more workload that month versus the previous month, but at the end of the day, it's gonna wash out, and it's gonna be a win-win. So yes to creative, no to management, unless it was a completely new channel.
Yeah.
Like if you're talking about doubling or tripling your monthly spend, possibly, but typically only creative. We talked about strategy behind kind of how we wanted it to be seen. We did the shoot for the that video. We used their voiceover person. They already had some flexible standards with the graphics of editing that they wanted us to adhere to, but then managing, pushing that out onto social and getting audience and traction back to the site. That's what it always came back to. That's why I just feel like it's most important. The landing page, wherever you're sending it to, has to be on point, and that has to be done first, because your video can be great, but what's the action that you're trying to get them to? You're trying to get them to buy it. They have to go to your site to do that.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that all those things are in alignment. We've reached out to him a couple times and had communication about us doing a collaboration, because he started doing a vlog and he's starting to shoot his own content. He'd be something that he just has a reach. Just putting one in front of, I mean, that's what he's all about, right? Tough, rugged, like hunters, fishermen, guys like that. Like, you put camo on anything, they're buying it. Don't look at price tag. Same thing can apply to this. I mean, when we were doing, and we talked about this on the phone, we were doing charger pack that was the portable jumper kit, to where, you know, you spend $80 to get it in to jump your car, and it just sits in your car, you charge it at home. They had one that was more advanced that had USBs and radio and all this other stuff to it. But they're going after the normal, you know, consumers, but then when they went heavy after the guys that are hunter and fishermen and throw a camo print on it, that thing went insane, because they just want to spend money on that. And then you talk to them and they're like, it doesn't matter if they're the CEO of a industrial automation company or they're the production worker that runs the machines. You throw camo on it or say that it's for this, they will spend an ungodly amount of money. You don't even necessarily need a plugin to do this. Plugins are typically for like efficiencies, right? Like to do things quickly, but things like this where you're looking at, to me, this is just CSS code and some HTML and some JavaScript code. You wouldn't need a plugin necessarily. Just peel back the layers. I mean, WordPress is the best CMS, but it's also, it's most open and it's the most complex at the same time in some regards. But we'll look at the theme and see, what is this alleged theme conflict? There are workarounds to where you can have it to a subdomain. That's a new theme. It's only for this. It's only for subscriptions. Maybe eventually that theme takes over on an overhaul and redesign, but let's at least go down the path of how can we sell more, not how can you work within the constraints of whatever this person is telling you. So, so then on Amazon, you guys would be able to add, like, so if I'm a business owner, I go into my business Amazon, I want to subscribe through Amazon.
Yeah, we don't have that
right
now.
Okay. So like that could be something,
Yeah.
because that's always popping up for me. And you guys see it too, I'm sure, even at even when I'm buying stuff at a personal level, it's like subscribe and save.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, and then I just want it once, but you can do that to where, you know, doing it to a default subscription for a quote unquote discount, having the option on there.
I've talked to him like 6 times, 7 times over the last couple months, going through the different round changes. I mean, I love the product. I want us to get the project because I love the product and the brand and what we can do with it, but at the end of the day, it comes down to who they're most comfortable with. You know? Can't win them all, but certainly can try.